What is going on? I am the Ink Otaku, and this is the beginning of what I would call, I guess, the Arrancar saga, the Arrival. We're gonna skip the two filler seasons because they're not canon, and we're gonna get straight into, like I said, the Arrival. The first thing we see is Grand Fisher has been healed, and he takes on a new humanoid form. In the world of the living, everything seems to have gone back to normal for Ichigo and the gang. There's a new student, but as they're about to be introduced, his Soul Reaper badge goes off, and Ichigo, Chad, and Orihime leave to deal with the Hollow, seeing as Uryu still doesn't have any powers. Ichigo takes out the Hollow, and in the background, you see someone watching them. It turns out to be the new student named Shinji. That night, Ichigo gets another Hollow call, and as he goes to it, he is attacked by Shinji, who wields a Zanbakuto and then shows Ichigo a Hollow mask that he materializes. Shinji says that he's what they call a visored, and Ichigo is also one. Shinji says to join his group, and Ichigo basically tells him to fuck off and then leaves. Elsewhere, Uryu is attacked by a Hollow, and he is saved by his dad, that tells him that he has a way to get his powers back on the condition that he doesn't associate with Soul Reapers anymore. Kon, in Ichigo's body, is attacked by Grand Fisher. He's saved by Isshin, who's wearing a Shihakusho. Isshin tells Kon that he always known that Ichigo isn't Ichigo when he's in his body. Grand Fisher transforms after releasing his Zanbakuto, and Isshin says he must be an Arrancar, a Hollow that has gained Soul Reaper powers by removing the Hollow mask. Grand Fisher goes to attack, and Isshin completely obliterates him in one hit, killing him. Urahara shows up and tells Isshin that the Vizards had made contact with Ichigo. They talk about how the Arrancar have evolved, and it's probably due to Aizen and the Hokyoku. They disperse as they feel Ichigo's presence, as Isshin doesn't want his true identity revealed yet. The next day at school, Ichigo grabs and confronts Shinji about last night, and he says that he won't stop until Ichigo agrees to join him, and saying that the Hollow inside will eventually take over. After school, Shinji gets scolded by Hiyori, another Visored, because he's failed to get Ichigo to comply. Chad and Orihime confront them and begin asking questions until Hiyori tries to attack and Shinji grabs her and runs away. We see Uryu has made the decision to get his powers back, and Ichigo can feel the Hollow inside calling to him, waiting for a chance to take over. Karin comes in, and she says that she knows that Ichigo is a Soul Reaper. He changes form right in front of her, as he feels some intense spiritual pressure coming from somewhere in Karakura Town. Two Arrancar have arrived in Karakura Town, Yami and Ukiura. Yami starts sucking out people's souls, and Chad and Orihime make their way to where the Arrancar are. Ukiura says that they're only there to kill one person and not to worry about anybody else. Yami sees that Tatsuki has survived his attack, and Chad comes to save her, but is straight just backhanded by Yami. Then he goes to attack Orihime, who uses Tsubaki to attack, but he destroys it, and she's saved by Ichigo. He wastes no time and releases his Bankai. Yami attacks and Ichigo cuts his arm off. Then the Hollow inside fucks up Ichigo's momentum and Yami goes on the offensive. Urahara and Yoriichi appear to help Ichigo, and then the two Arrancar end up leaving, saying Ichigo isn't worth killing. Ichigo then gets in a slump, thinking that he is too weak to protect anyone after the encounter. The next day at school, Ichigo is met by Toshiro, Renji, Ikkaku, Yamichika, Rangiku, and Rukia show up. Toshiro says that they are there at the request of Old Man Yama to help Ichigo watch the Arrancar. Toshiro then explains what an Arrancar is, and that soon they will be going to war with them. In Wako Mundo, Ukiura shows Aizen and the other Arrancars what they saw. Ukiura and Grimmjow argue about why he didn't kill Ichigo, saying that he is not a threat right now, but he may prove to be useful in the future. Unsatisfied with that, Grimmjow takes 5 other Arrancar to kill anybody in Karakura Town with spiritual pressure. Ichigo and the others feel the presence of them and go to intercept them. Ichigo and Rukia take on Arrancar number 16, D-Roy. Rukia uses her Shikai, Soda no Shirayuki, enclosing him in a pillar of ice, killing him. Much to Ichigo's surprise, the mod soul inside Rukia's body explains that she's actually strong enough to be a ranked officer, but Byakuya has pulled some strings to keep her from being put on dangerous missions. Ikkaku is fighting Arrancar 13, Edrin, and after trading some blows, Ikkaku is finally able to cut him, and he goes into his release form, growing giant arms. Ikkaku starts getting beaten down and releases his Shikai, but it doesn't help, so he releases his Bankai, Ryumon Huzakimaru, that he's been keeping a secret, and I've always thought that he had one of the most badass looking Bankais. Then it goes into the story about how Ikkaku and Yumichika, how they met Kenpachi, gotten into becoming Soul Reapers, and how Ikkaku trained Renji, and that Renji knows about his Bankai, but Ikkaku doesn't want to be a captain, so he can serve under Kenpachi. Then it cuts back to Ikkaku barely beating Edrin, and the others aren't having such an easy time either. Rikaku is knocked out, and both Renji and Toshiro have released their Bankais, but aren't standing a chance against the Arrancars who have gone into their true forms. Then the Arrancar Shuailong fighting Toshiro explains the ranking system of the Arrancars. 1 to 10 are called the Espada, and are the top ranked and the most powerful. Then are the Numeros. After 10 are just in order of which they were born, regardless of strength. Just then, Rangiku gets the approval for the Gentei Kaijo, which is the release of the power restriction on lieutenants and captains. With that, the 3 are able to take out their Arrancar. With that, that's 5 down, 1 to go. Grimmjow shows up to where Ichigo and Rukia are, and in the blink of an eye, he stabs Rukia in the stomach. Ichigo starts to attack blindly with no success, and Grimmjow starts to pummel him, who is eventually stopped by Tozen, which takes him back to Wako Mundo. Aizen doesn't punish Grimmjow, but Tozen doesn't want to let him off, and he cuts off Grimmjow's arm and incinerates it. Then we catch a glimpse of Uryu training with his father. Chad pays a visit to Urahara, who wants to be trained. Ichigo goes to see Shinji and the other visors to learn about how to control the hollow inside. Ichigo basically tells Shinji that he will train him, even if he has to try to do it by force, and Ichigo attacks, and they begin to fight. Hiyori steps in and lets her inner hollow out, and she starts to push Ichigo into a corner, making his inner hollow come out, making it so the other visors have to step in. They agree to train Ichigo and take him to their underground training ground. And why does everybody have a secret underground arena to train people in? Shinji tells Ichigo that soon he will hollowify, and that he has to take control of his inner hollow or he will die. Inside his mind, he faces against his hollow self, who also has his own Zangetsu. Ichigo asks where Zangetsu is, and the reply is that the hollow Ichigo and Zangetsu have always been 2 sides of the same coin. They are both Ichigo's powers. They begin to clash, and eventually both release a Bankai. On the outside, Ichigo is almost fully turned into a hollow, and at the last second, Ichigo is able to overcome his weakness and control his inner hollow, and now he is a visored. He now trains to sustain his hollification. In Orihime's house, Old Man Yama gets in contact with Toshiro, telling him that Aizen is looking for the Oken, the royal key. This is the first mention of the Soul King, and the first mention of the royal family who reside in a separate dimension that needs the Oken to get into. Only the head captain knows where the Oken is, but that isn't the problem. Aizen was looking into how to create the Oken, which needs 100,000 souls and a Jirichi, which is an enriched spirit zone in the human world. At this time, that is Karakura Town. Old Man Yama says that the Hokyoku will fully awaken in 4 months, and they should take this time to prepare and train. Before signing off, Old Man Yama lets Momo talk to Toshiro, and she asks him to save Aizen, thinking that he is innocent. Orihime tells Ichigo about the situation, that goes to see Urahara. He tells her that he wants her to stay out of the upcoming fight, seeing she has no means of attack, and as for healing, they have Squad 4 to do that. She leaves upset, obviously. Then while talking to Rukia, Hiyori shows up and takes Orihime to see Hachi, as he has taken an interest in her as they have similar powers. He heals Tsubaki and tells her that she isn't suited for the front lines, but there's still something she can do. Lastly, we see Aizen rewatching Ukiyo's report, and he's taken an interest in Orihime. Alright, that is the Arrival, the manga or anime portion, and we can get into the manga. But first, I was rewatching and I had a couple, like, not epiphanies, I guess, but like thoughts when Old Man Yama's talking about the Oken, and he's like, oh, the location of the Oken is passed down to every, head captain. I was like, isn't he the only head captain? Like, isn't there there's been no other head captain before him, so why would that even matter? But I digress. That's just something I was thinking, but it doesn't make sense. But in the other thing I was thinking, I've been seeing a bunch of memes lately about how, like, since I guess because the new season's coming out, where people are like, oh, Rukia should have ended up with Ichigo, and Orihime could just like fuck off. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm in the camp of, I think that Orihime and Ichigo, like, were supposed to be together in the thing, because you see Renji and Rukia when they grew up, but it's just like, I don't see, maybe I see it differently. I don't see the romantic aspect from Ichigo and Rukia, like in, I think it was like 2-3 arcs, where she's like, it seems like a more like a brother-sister complex thing to me, but you know, that's just my thing. But we can get into the manga. There's not many differences, really not even any differences, but for the most part, you see here when Shinji, instead of Shinji coming to school after Ichigo gets the hollow call, he's already there, and then you can see he gets the hollow call and he's already there. And then I put the panel of when Edrin transforms into his Resurrection form, only because I thought it looked different. I mean, it kind of looks a little different, but maybe not, but then it's just with my own blindness. But you know, other than that, there's not really anything different in the manga and anime, besides like the bounce. You know, the bounce and the mod souls are in the anime, but they're not in the manga because it's not canon. And then when Ichigo is fighting Hollow Ichigo, he goes, you know, it goes into like he goes into his inner mind, and he starts fighting Byakuya, and then he fights Kenpachi, which is in the manga, and then he fights the bounce soul guy, the soul mod soul guy. And then the last thing is, like, I didn't even realize until I was done watching this season was when Toshiro and Rangiku and all them fight that Hollow at the end of this season. Like, that's not even canon, so I'm not going to put it in here. But that is it for the Arrival. We're going to do the sneak next, the Waco Mundo sneak, which I don't know why they keep calling these things sneaks. They're not very sneaky. But that'll be the next one. Otaku out.